What's going on, guys? SmartHelping.com here, and we're doing a marketing ROI analysis. So this is pretty difficult for businesses that are, not selling retail products, or selling things that have recurring revenue. It could be recurring service revenue, product, whatever the case is. The hardest thing, and it's pretty confusing when you first try to think about it, is how do you measure the return on investment over time for the marketing spend of one given month. So I put together a nice model here. I think this is really useful. This is taking a lot of complex things and just making it super simple so anybody could use this in Excel and figure it out. So the the model, you start with putting in your first month. So this is just whatever month you're going to start your tracking. So you put that in here. You then see based on that the months go across here. And then the rest of it's just your data entry. So let me clear this whole thing out, and we'll go through it real quick, one thing at a time. So let's say, it's February, which is actually it's February 15th. So let's say this month I spend $3,500 on pay-per-click, email campaign, whatever. I spend $3,500 total in marketing. Now I want to know how much revenue that generates over time to get an ROI. Well, the first complication is the ROI is going to change if you get recurring revenue from that. So, and this could be, it doesn't have to be like a service, like a monthly service. It could be like a client that just pays you over time or whatever the case. The key is in order for any of this to work, you have to be able to know what from this spend, what clients can you attribute to that. Otherwise, the whole thing is meaningless. So that's something that, that's just a given. You have to know that. If you don't know that, well, then there's no point. You can't track it. So let's say I spent 3,500. I know exactly what clients I acquired as a direct result of this spend, and I know how much money they make me over time. So you track that cohort in this line only. So all of those, let's just say it's 4 clients, and the revenue for those 4 clients in March, let's say is $250. Let's say in April it's 350. In May, let's say it's 125. June, let's say it's 1,000. July, let's say it's 250. And you can see as I'm adding numbers over here, the ROI is changing and the IRR. And I'll get into this too, because I think it's important to actually have a time sensitive calculation, which is internal rate of return, as well as a raw dollar calculation, which is just taking your total revenue less the actual initial investment divided by the initial investment. So we haven't broke even yet. Let's say in August we have another 1,000. Still haven't broken even. We're close. Let's say we get another 1,000 in September. Let's say nothing in September. Let's say we go to October, and you can see we've now recovered, and we're break even. So, and you could just keep tracking this through time for that cohort, and you'll see over time as you keep earning revenues from that direct spend, your ROI is going to perpetually rise. So that the better you can retain revenue from marketing spend, the higher your return on investment of that spend. So the better it is. Now the IRR part of it is taking into account time, and it's converting the monthly. It's converting a monthly IRR into an annual. So that's why it's higher than. It'll be always different from this ROI. 9 times out of 10, it'll be different from that. And this will not go up. You can see, let's say I make 1,000 every month in perpetuity. The IRR will eventually stop because it's discounting the time value of money. So you can see 568, your ROI is going up, but your IR at 568. Let's watch, it won't change from 568 if I keep going here. See, barely a change. Still 568 point whatever it was. So that's going to take into effect the time value of money, and this is not. So let's undo that, put it back to a normal amount. So, and I'll keep these values in here so when you reference the video, you can kind of see with the actual spreadsheet what's going on. So the last really important part of the analysis is months to recover investment. In any recurring revenue business or whatever, you want to know how many months it takes for your marketing spend efforts to make back the initial investment on that on a total revenue basis. Now, this revenue might have costs associated with it, um, but we're just saying how much time on a top dollar amount. If you spend 3,500, how much time does it take to get that 3,500 back in total revenue? So this and I, so this is a really important number for any SaaS business or any kind of business that has normal ongoing revenues from the same clients. And you want, and I've put in, so I've conditionally formatted all this so you can see it's these both turn red if it's less than 0 and green if it's greater than. And the months to recovery has 3 tiers. And if you want to edit that, it's simple. You just go to conditional formatting. You just kind of click on the first cell E4, go to conditional formatting, go to manage rules. The first rule is just to anything that's blank is just going to be the green. You don't have to worry about that. So here's the 3 tiers. So I just put if it's greater than 8, then make it red. If it's between 7 and 8, yellow. If it's less than 7, then green. So obviously, the less the better. You want to be able to recover your marketing spend with the revenue that it generated as fast as possible. But if you want to change these, you can just click on the one. Let's say I want to put it changes to make it actually lower. So let's say I only want it to be less than 6 is green. Then I'll apply it. And let's say I want actually, so then I'd change this to be between 6 and 8. So now 6, 7, and 8 would be yellow. These will always be whole numbers here for months to recovery. It's just counting measuring when the revenue, how many months it takes for the revenue to get to be more than the spend. So that'll be the same, and then we could say, so that we can keep that there at 8, greater than 8. So let's watch what happens if we take another extra month to recover that. See now 9, now it's red. Before it was yellow. Let's say we recover it earlier than that. We gotta go another month earlier. 5, now you're green. And so this will count. Let's say we have another one. Let's say the next month we spend 6,000. We figure out exactly what clients that spend brought in, and then we start measuring out. Now, one important thing to note, so the IRR works right, the month that this spend happens, so we're saying this happens in March, always any revenue, even if the revenue comes in March as well, you're going to put that to the following month for that spend. So I spent 6,000. I'm now making, we're going to put our first month's revenue here, and it could include revenue from March. So let's say it's 650, whatever. We'll just make it actually 600, and let's say we bring in 600 over time. We haven't recovered yet. Haven't recovered. Once we recover, we'll see a number in the thing there. Oh, there, 10 months. It took us to recover, so obviously that makes sense because 600 times 10 would be 6,000. And then we've actually made a little bit more here, so the total we've brought in is 7,800, 30% return on investment, and an internal return of 59%. And this is assuming you're getting this cash back monthly. And it's just annualizing that monthly IRR rate. Now, the last piece is I've put in averages here, so you can just see your average ROI for the different months, which I think that's important. So this is like the one number you can look to, since these numbers all change through time. You could look at your average, which is averaging each monthly cohort to give you some kind of a number. Same with the internal return, and the months to recover is also an average. Now, I've put it so you can actually enter data for up to 5 over the span of 5 years, which is probably a good amount of time before you want to, reset or roll it forward. So this is like data you can see all in one snapshot. So up to 5 years down, and then across I went out to I think 12 or 13, out to 2029 from 19, 10 years, 11 years, because we're including all of 19 and all of 2029. And the reason why that is because at the end of the 5th year, you still may want to see what that is doing, after December 23rd. Here you want to track, that latest investment for up to 5 years. So that's what this allows for. Easily expandable to a lot more time. If you want, you can just drag the formulas all down and across. The main thing is for the internal rate of return, you just have to keep dragging all of these numbers at the top over, and these numbers down, and these formulas down. And same with monster recovery, you just drag everything down and over. The formula the formula is the same for all of these. So, and for these, I'm pretty sure. Yep, that's all one formula. It's just referencing different numbers. So super easy to expand. These tabs you don't need to worry about. They're just formulas in order to figure this out over time. And you'll see the internal rate of return is accurate. Like we're always starting with the first month of spend, and then the next period period is always the first period of the actual return of cash. So it's not counting these extra spaces at extra periods. So that's good. Obviously, we want an accurate number there. The ROI doesn't matter about the periods. All right, and that's it. I think many many businesses will struggle with how to accurately and how like what is a good way to track the return on marketing spend when you do have this recurring revenue. And to me, the only thing that is logical is you have to track each month as its own cohort and figure out what the revenue is from the spend of that month that can be directly related to that spend. And that's it. So if you want to get this template, I'm going to post it obviously on my vendors, eFinancial Models, Eloquence, and obviously on smarthelping.com, which is my site. And the cost will be $45 one-time fee if you want it. And yeah, that's it. I think this is super valuable, super useful. It is dynamic enough to fit enough unique, or it's broad enough to fit, have a really broad use case, but there's enough logic here that you can, kind of grind down and get specifics for your scenario. So I'll see you on the next one. Have a good weekend.